Modern men believe they're getting ignored in the dating market because they're not rich enough, tall enough, or successful enough. They mistake sexual attraction for a cold material transaction. That's wrong. That's not how human attraction works. They're being ignored because something has happened to their internal masculine frame. Something has gutted their authentic edge. Modern men barely notice it, but discerning, high-value women sense it immediately. With my Ivy League PhD and more than a decade as a university professor, I was trained to look at the systems behind human behavior, but academia could never prepare me for what modern civilization has done to men. There are two types of men making up almost the entire male population today. You can spot them immediately, even in a crowded room. Once you learn to recognize them, you'll never stop seeing them. And once you see them, you also understand why intelligent women run from both of them. The first man enters the room looking down before he looks up. He laughs nervously before anyone has made a joke. He apologizes before he's done anything wrong. He waits to be invited into a conversation. He scans the room for approval, not with his words, but with his body. Physically, he looks the part too. He carries the weight of his own defeat. Slouched shoulders, caved-in chest, clothes that look like an afterthought, maybe a little bit of a potbelly. A gaze that never quite meets yours. A defeated, hyper-compliant man. The kind of man who spent years making himself smaller. Modern civilization mass produces men like him. They're literally everywhere. The second man enters the room like he's walking onto a stage. His shoulders are back, his chest is puffed out, his jaw is tight, his beard is perfectly trimmed. The sleeves are fitted to hug his huge biceps. A luxury watch catches the light on his wrist. His voice is loud, his handshake aggressive. He holds eye contact just a little bit too long, as if he's testing you. He talks about closing deals, discipline, grinding, and becoming untouchable. He looks like the caricature every online dating coach tells you to become. These men look like polar opposites, but they're not. They are the same man. One performs weakness, the other performs strength. One has surrendered his masculine drive for comfort, for the illusion of harmlessness. The other has turned his masculinity into a desperate performance. Neither knows who he is. It doesn't matter whether you disappear or try to dominate. It doesn't matter whether you apologize for existing or refuse to ever say you're wrong. It doesn't matter whether you seek approval or admiration. Look closer. Both men have outsourced their internal authority to the room. Both are begging for validation. And before we truly unpack how to reconstruct your masculine frame so you command genuine respect from high-value women, we have to understand why both of these archetypes are so present today. Modern civilization did not eliminate masculinity, but it distorted it. It fractured it. It split it into two. One collapsed into passivity, the other became a performance. The healthy, integrated man almost disappeared. For most of human history, boys became men through initiation. They were forced to confront raw reality, responsibility, physical risk, danger, pain, failure. Modern civilization has systematically removed every meaningful initiation. Heroism has become unnecessary. Comfort has become the highest virtue. Safety has replaced courage. Approval has replaced character. Boys have inherited a vacuum of meaning. Some disappeared into compliance, and others disappeared into the mask of a hyper-aggressive, dominant man. And neither response restores healthy masculinity. High-value women are not attracted to men who perform masculinity. They're attracted to men who inhabit it. Now, imagine a third man walking into the room. You almost don't notice him at first because he isn't demanding the room's attention. He isn't trying to disappear into the background, nor is he trying to dominate the space. He simply operates from a quiet, absolute assumption that he belongs there. When he speaks, people listen. Not because he raises his voice, but because his words carry genuine weight. When he asks a question, he actually waits for the answer. He has somewhere to stand within himself. That is what both the passive man and the performative alpha have lost. One renounced his masculine drive completely, and the other turned it into a circus act, and neither one actually inhabits his own skin. The foundational act of true masculinity is not posture, it's cultivation. The quiet decision to build an internal world worth inhabiting. This process doesn't happen by accident, but it happens through daily mental discipline. A cultivated man doesn't just consume information, he wrestles with ideas. He reads, he observes, he subjects his own opinions to rigor, and he changes his mind when confronted with the truth because his ego isn't fragile. High value, discerning women respond magnetically to this kind of mind. Why? Because depth cannot be faked. A cultivated man isn't regurgitating talking points he heard online. He possesses an internal landscape wide enough to handle real complexity. When pressure enters a relationship, such as conflict, financial strain, life transitions, a performative man immediately unravels because he only practiced the pose, not the stance. But a cultivated man has built an internal anchor. He can sit in the middle of an emotional storm without losing his temper or folding into a shell and becoming a yes man. Nobody hands you a trophy for building character in the dark, but year after year, cultivation builds a quiet gravitas that money cannot buy and performance can never fake. Because he has cultivated his interior world, this man's exterior naturally reflects it. His clothes fit, his workspace is orderly, his space is intentional, nothing about him is excessive, and nothing about him is neglected. Most men think that paying attention to these details is vanity, but it isn't. It's territory. The first land a man learns to govern is himself. Stop and look at your life right now. Look at your desk, look at your apartment, look at your car. Does it look like a domain governed by a sovereign man or a place where life just happens to you? Your body, your home, your environment, they all answer the exact same question. Does this man take responsibility for his own existence? A man who cannot govern his own environment cannot lead anything else. Taking pride in your territory isn't about impressing women. It is an act of fundamental self-respect. A man's territory is the ultimate truth teller. You can claim you have discipline, but if your living space looks like a bomb went off, your frame is a lie. True authority isn't declared with a loud voice in public. It's established in the quiet governance of your daily life. And women respond very well to this kind of energy because this type of man has leadership and capacity. Look at historical figures who commanded absolute respect without resorting to noise. Think of St. Francis of Assisi, for instance. He was trained for war, he inherited massive wealth, and possessed real social status. Yet he stripped all of it away because he rejected performance. He moved through the world with a quiet, grounded presence that people instinctively trusted him. His inner world was ordered, so his outer world was peaceful. Nothing about him begged for admiration, and nothing about him apologized for existing. He was extraordinarily gentle, but no one mistook him for weak. His strength was simply under control. And that is the final piece that modern men have forgotten: integration. The passive man may seem gentle, but he's actually weak. The alpha bro uses posture because he lacks real masculine strength. Both are confusing a wound for masculinity. Strength without tenderness becomes tyranny. Tenderness without strength becomes helplessness. A mature man possesses both. He can protect and he can listen. He can stand his ground and he can admit when he's wrong. He can be dangerous without becoming a threat. He can be gentle without becoming passive. The strongest men don't suppress softness. They choose it. Because true strength is what makes gentleness possible in the first place. That is what discerning, high-value women recognize almost immediately. Not another role, not another strategy, but a man who's made peace with himself. A man whose strength no longer needs an audience.